Leap of Fate podcast fans. Welcome to this week's episode with yours truly, Randy Silver. As a friendly reminder, the Leap of Fate is all around overcoming adversity and hardships in your life, and we bring on guests to tell you how you can make that happen with their stories of overcoming adversity. As we all know, the industries out there can be very tough, especially the music recording industry, and this is where my guests come in this week, Autograf. I got Louis and Mikul on. They're the duo Autograf. They're a DJ group. They've traveled the world, definitely all around the US. They are pretty big at this point. You may not know them if you're not too much in the EDM scene, but they are very popular with my generation, millennials, other people like that. They're on today to talk about their rise to fame as the DJ group Autograf and what they did to overcome to make it to this point where they are in their careers. So with that being said, Louis, Mikul, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having us. How's it going?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. So I think a great way to start would be, Mikul, we can start with you and then go to Louis. Would love for you guys just to give a quick background on who you guys are and what you did before you joined your group so we can get invested in you and your story.
Yeah, so before Autograf, I was an aspiring visual artist. I owned a gallery in Chicago and threw some underground loft parties, and that's how I met Louis. But I was pretty deep into the art scene, and through that I got to meet a lot of DJs and throw parties and things of that nature.
Were you creating music before you met Louis, or was it more like you were just helping throw parties?
No, I didn't know how to DJ before I met Louis, really. I was just throwing parties. I had this gallery space and screen printing studio, and we did like live screen printing for events, and then started throwing parties kind of in the basement of my gallery space and got all this DJ equipment, and kind of just things snowballed from there. And then I met Louis. He was just starting how to DJ at the time, and we started throwing some parties together.
So then, Louis, I think that's a good segue to you. A quick info about yourself.
Yeah, I was just a normal dude. I went to college. I got a nice job after college, and I moved to Chicago actually to trade stock options on the Chicago Board Options Exchange. And so it was kind of like your normal 9 to 5 working in finance. And so my whole thing was that, just after work for doing it for like many years, I was just like, man, I need to do something creative, like anything. So I was just trying all kinds of things after work, like taking art history classes, taking sculpture classes, taking like salsa lessons, tango, just anything. But then, I guess what stuck for me was kind of music and DJing. And I just had some friends who were just, we'd go party together and they just knew how to DJ afterwards. And, kind of learned from them. And I actually, like, of all things, bought a book. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to college to learn how to DJ. And so basically that's how I got hooked on it initially. And I was just a bedroom DJ. I made a demo mix, all excited to go try and play my first show. And, I would hit up all the local promoters and no one would book me because I was just nobody. And this is when I kind of knew Mikul. I actually didn't really know him that well at all. I just knew he was throwing some parties. And I was just like, hey, dude, can I DJ one of your parties? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, cool. And that was my first DJ gig ever. And Mikul gave it to me. And I didn't know what to expect. It was like in the basement of a real estate office.
Yeah.
They like rented it from, I don't know how they rented it, but they threw basically a rager. It was like an art school party. Like, in Chicago, you have like Columbia and the Art Institute. So you have like a lot of art students there. So it's kind of like a party for like all those kids. And so I showed up. I was like brand new DJ. I was still like on vinyl because I thought that was cool.
I mean, it is cool. That's actually like real DJing.
I'm not saying I was good at it, but I showed up with my vinyl and, it's like just a rowdy party. And, I'm up there trying to DJ, like girls were like bumping into the table, and the needle would like skip, and the music would stop. It was just like a mess. And then the DJ on after me just like plugged in his laptop and just like rocked the party. And so it was kind of from then on out, it's like, all right, I'm gonna move to a laptop. So that was my experience with DJing. And then I guess many years later, here we are.
This is kind of crazy, Louis. So recently I was like looking for the Autograf soup can like logos for the future soup, and I found the flyer for that party.
What?
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it looks like.
Literally like 2 days ago.
Wait.
Can you send it to me and I can post it for this?
Yeah.
Wait, in Los Angeles you found it?
No, on my computer.
Oh, your computer.
Yeah, like the
what did it look like? What was on it?
It's like a yellow background. It was like DJ Demchuk, Skylar, KJ, which was good back then. And it was like this like word bubble, kind of in like the art style of like SoMe, who was like Justice's art director at the time. So
was I not even on it?
No, KJ was on it.
Oh, KJ, I was on it.
Yeah.
Was I billed last? Dead last?
Yes.
Oh, nobody. I was a nobody back there. I got bottom billing.
Yeah.
Thanks,
but
Michael.
I was even smaller on it as a host. My name was even smaller than your name.
This was before Michael was even a DJ. Like all his roommates were DJs. So he was throwing all these parties, and sometimes he wouldn't have a DJ, or like he didn't want to pay a DJ. So he would just like, let me just DJ.
I lived with 3 other DJs at the time too. And I remember there's this DJ White Shadow, who's actually a pretty big DJ now. He like produces for Lady Gaga and stuff. And he had brought by his decks and stuff and lent them to my other roommate. And they were like, you should learn how to do this stuff. And that's kind of like the first time I tried touching decks, and I was not good at it at the time.
Cool. That sounds really interesting that like you found that flyer, sell that as an NFT. I think people will buy it.
Yeah.
So I think a good question to ask them is like, it doesn't sound like you guys came up in the music industry. You didn't really play music growing up. So what gravitated you to DJing? Because it's not something that like, hey, I'm just gonna like click a button, hit play, and like you really had to learn the skills. So like, what made you want to learn those skills? Like, how many hours do you have to put in to really master your craft, to really feel comfortable, not just making music, but then you have to go out and perform on stage for people?
Yeah, I think it was such a slow build for us that, over time, years and years of just like starting out by throwing these loft parties and just kind of DJing. It was just this like really natural progression. And like I know for like a lot of DJs, they kind of start just like in the bedroom producing, and then like maybe they get signed and they get that big break. But for us, it was really like this grind of like playing loft parties and little bar shows and just kind of growing with the brand. And obviously we've gone through several different DJ names. Like when I first met Louis, he was just DJing as Kha was his DJ name, and then we formed another group, and it's just this like really slow progression of to get to where we are now.
Got it. Anything to add, Louis?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, at least back then, I never felt like I was naturally creative. Michael was creative visually, but for me, I was working in finance, so I was just using this as an outlet. And I feel that I'm not super talented in anything really, but my advantage is just kind of just working really hard at things, just more so because I get really into things, get addicted and passionate. And so just like when I first started DJing, I just put in so much time and so many hours, and I did that for like years, when we started getting booked for bigger shows and things like that. Then like I don't really practice now, but back then I would always practice. And then
what sacrifices did you have to make when you say, I was always practicing, putting in, like, were you not hanging out with friends? Were you not going on trips? Like, you literally just kind of like locked yourself in, like, I need to get the best at this to improve myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best for relationships. That's kind of been my downfall with most relationships, is because I get so into, my work, or so into my passion. And it does, the sacrifice is time with hanging out with friends, family, girlfriends, everything like that, and sleep, because
Mhm.
back when I had a day job, I was basically never slept. It was just like music at night, parties, DJing, and then during the day working. So it's definitely a sacrifice, unless you're just like born gifted,
Yeah.
like Mozart or something like that, which I'm not, but I firmly believe that anyone can do anything. And I just feel like, at least from my experience in life, it just requires a lot of time and dedication. If there is something you feel like you're not that great at, that you can become, decent at it. I felt like I think most everyone, me included, felt that, I had imposter syndrome most of my life with a lot of things I did, including when I was trading or DJing and then producing. Producing came later. Like I was a DJ for first. A lot of people kind of start the other way. Like they start as a producer, then all of a sudden they get big and like they're like, shit, I need to learn how to DJ.
Can you, just for the audience, just in case people don't know, what's the difference between producing and DJing?
DJing is the performance aspect of it all. When you're at a party, you're mixing tracks, playing music. Producing is when you're at home in a studio, actually making the music.
Got it.
So DJing, you're like playing the music out in a creative way, mixing it all together, like in an hour, 2 hour long set. And producing, you're just making one song.
And do you guys have a preference? Would you prefer to produce or DJ, or do they go hand in hand?
It kind of, for me, it kind of changes. It goes in waves. When you DJ too much, you maybe get a little tired of it and would love to be home working on music. I love producing. The problem for me is just like when I get into it, like that's all I do. Like I just get so obsessed with it, I can't do anything else. So I find myself like not producing for really long periods of time, because if I get sucked in, it's just like you're not going to see Louis for weeks. So I don't know. It's just weird thing. I mean,
that's where Michael keeps you in check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like end of last year, we got really into like doing some production stuff, and that lasted for a couple months. And now I think that as things are opening back up in shows, like playing shows and DJing again has been really fun. But I have a feeling like, within a couple of months of like having to be on airplanes and catching early flights, that's not going to be fun anymore. But right now, it's really fun to go rock parties again.
Yeah. So I like what you guys just said there. So I'm going to take this idea down a bit. Like for the average person like myself, we see you guys say like touring, you guys are on a bunch of planes, you're going around the US, world, whatnot. And we're like, oh my God, that's got to be so cool. Got to live the life. But like, it sounds like a little bit like that can obviously get very tiring. And you want to kind of just go back to homeostasis of just being at home and relaxing. So what has it been like not having the touring and the concerts with everything shut down? And do you feel like it's almost kind of reinvigorated you, because now you kind of took a chance to reset when you haven't had that maybe for a couple of years?
Yeah, I think at the beginning it was actually really refreshing, oddly, when everything kind of shut down and we didn't have any shows to play, and I got to like do other things like plants and succulents and gardening and building stuff, and
back to
just
art.
really, yeah, just like really taking a break from some of the other, from this grind of like playing 4 shows a week and not getting proper sleep.
I mean, it was always my dream, after college, when I started working, it was always my dream to just take a couple years off and just travel the world, backpack around the world. I never got to do that, but oddly enough, music kind of led me to do that anyways, where I did end up traveling around the world because of that. But it's like anything, if you do it too much, it does get tiresome and it wears you down. So I think for a lot of touring artists, they felt really relieved when everything was forced to stop and slow down and shut down, because it actually gave them a chance to breathe and actually start missing,
Music.
touring and playing again. So
And were you guys able to use the downtime to come up with a bunch of new music that hopefully will be released soon?
well, we finished an album which we released at the end of last year. So I'd say the first half of last year was like towards that goal, and after that, we've been kind of working on some bootlegs and that we've put out. But now we have our next single, which should be coming out in June. So it's been nice because it wasn't. I feel like before the pandemic, our life was just 100% music, whether it's touring or making music. And then when the pandemic hit, like I think our life was much more balanced.
Got it. Do you feel the same way, Michael?
Yeah, and I think also just right now trying to keep that balance and not get so sucked back into things.
I was gonna say that was my next question is there a way to find a balance then moving forward where now that you guys probably go back to touring, things start opening up in the next couple months, can there be a balance, or will this go right back into sucking it and maybe even like worse because there's such a bent up want to go see live music, go back to concerts, that you may be even more busier than before?
I don't think we'll be busier than before because we were really touring a lot pre-pandemic, and I think things are slowly opening back up. I don't know. It's hard to say because like right now I say to myself, like, yeah, I'm going to keep a more balanced life and work on other things as well. But, 6 months from now, even like the last couple of months, things have just been ramping up and it's becoming more and more. And I don't know, keeping that balance, I'm going to try, but I don't know. We'll see how things go in 6 months from now.
Do you guys have a team around you who helps you, or is it mainly you two? Like, I'm sure you guys probably have a manager. Do you have things like that who can help take some stuff off your plate?
Yeah, you're like management, booking agents, PR team,
Record label.
Yeah.
But I guess to what Michael's saying, we're not necessarily going to be busier, but it's going to feel
Busier.
way busier. And I think that applies to everyone. Like everyone's been so used to like not doing much.
Yeah.
And now everyone's just like, oh wow, it's we're getting back into the swing of things.
Do you already have a bunch of shows lined up for the summer? Any festivals, any concerts that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, we do it. I think California is beginning to start finally book for the summer. So far, it's only been like Texas, Arizona, Florida, but a lot of, I don't know if it's anything we can announce because I think a lot of places are booking in advance, hoping that everything's going to be okay
Fingers
by
crossed.
then.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of last minute bookings because of what's going on. But yeah, we'll probably be in a town near you, I guess.
You heard it here first, sneak peek.
I think right now you see festivals like having to move right now, so it's hard to like really announce and lock things in.
Yeah, I agree. So then, if you could pick your top 3 favorite festivals you played at, what would they be?
I think bucket list festivals we've got to do is like Coachella, Electric Forest, one of the first big festivals we played, and they played multiple sets. That was really fun. And some of the more boutique stuff like the DoLaB festivals and Crossed.
Crossed is so much fun.
Yeah.
I would say same thing as Michael, add in maybe LIB, Lightning in a Bottle, and Shambhala.
I've never been to Electric Forest, never been to Shambhala. Would love to go there, but I saw you guys at LIB. I've seen you guys in San Francisco a couple times. I've seen you at Crossed, and every time your shows are so good. As a fanboy for a second, they're so good. The way you command on stage, the way that you're able to get the audience engaged with you guys, it's totally a vibe the whole time.
Thank you.
Is there a show that you have or a festival you haven't played yet that you want to go play? Like a Tomorrowworld or something like that?
Yeah, maybe some of the big ones in Europe. We haven't done any, we've done a couple of festivals in Europe, but I don't like the really big ones. I think Burning Man, I don't know if it's a festival really, but like
doing call it a festival.
Yeah, I think that would be like another bucket list thing to do.
Okay. What about favorite cities that you guys perform in? Is there a certain clubs like in San Francisco? I know I saw you guys at 1015 Folsom. No, it was the Underground Club. Heck, Louis, we were talking about
Audio.
Audio. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it was especially with like if you guys never been to audio in San Francisco, there's like a big circle in the background, and the DJs are right there, and you feel like you're on top of them, and you get to just like hang out with them. It's super cool. So do you guys have venues or concerts? Excuse me. Do you have venues in different cities that you're like, oh, hey, we're about to tour. Like, hey, I'm gonna be in Miami for this festival. Make sure to book me at this venue as well because I just like playing there.
I love playing in Brazil just because Brazil is wild. Everyone has so much fun there.
That's really cool. What about yourself, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like there's a difference between like favorite shows to play and then like favorite places to go. So like getting to travel internationally, like going to Asia and playing shows there are probably my favorite just because I get to spend some time like experiencing that culture.
Yeah, we just love going to Bali. Any
Yeah.
excuse we can go to Bali, we go.
Yeah.
Even if we're not playing in Bali, we're kind of close to Bali, we'll still go to Bali.
So
I'll
when
play
you
a
go,
show for like 10 people if it means going to Bali.
so when you're like traveling, say you're going to Brazil for a couple shows, or you're going to Asia, how much downtime do you actually have to experience the cultures versus more play show, next show, things like that?
Well, for a while, a lot of times we didn't have much time because we are just kind of being aggressive with, we're being really ambitious with everything, with the music, the touring. And so we try to play as many cities and dates as possible. And usually there's not much time at all. But I think it was like 2019, we decided like we were getting burned out. And so we decided to kind of take things a little slower. And so at that point, we're like, all right, if we're going to play somewhere, we want to hang out there for a little bit.
Mhm.
Let's do that. Let's not necessarily just take every show we can because we're just going to, kill ourselves.
I feel that. Anything to add, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, that was the year we did go to Bali, and I think we spent 2 weeks there, and then we came back like another month later for another 2 weeks. And that was an amazing experience.
So the question is, when do you guys get to go back to Bali?
Yeah.
Next year.
Let me ask you this question. Are there any DJs or any groups in general that you would love to collab with that you haven't yet? Any inspirations that you're like, that would be a dream to work with them?
I always struggle with that question. I don't know. I never, for me, I don't have much to, I don't know why. Maybe I'm weird, but I guess I don't have a desire like, oh man, I really want to collab with so and so. I think we're at least I'm just so used to just doing things by myself. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think when collabs happen more naturally, it's less like that artist or whatever, but it's this relationship you form with somebody else and that working together, like synergy type thing. So I think that's more important than like the name of the artist you're going to work with, but just being able to like bounce ideas together and
I feel
create
that
something unique.
Our next song's a collab. It's with Win and Woo. It's because we share the same studio, so it's kind of just opportunistic how that happened. So
I love Win and Woo. They're really good. So then, how does the collab work? Obviously, with the invent technology nowadays, like I'm sure, like you said, you share a studio, but if there's someone you wanted to collab with, you could probably send files, mix it together, do your part, send it back and forth. So do you feel like it makes it easier for you guys to like you guys are in the same place to work together yourselves, but also if you want to work with other artists, you're able to make it happen much easier than say maybe 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, for sure.
I think even working as a group, I don't think a lot of that time is spent in the studio together. It's a lot of like file sharing and sending things back and forth and working on our own time.
Yeah, there's a collab on the album with a Brazilian guy actually, and I think that was the first time we did a collab over Splice, so that was really easy. So yeah.
What's Splice?
Basically, Splice is a place where that's has a bunch of samples. So a bunch of producers and artists like ourselves will create sample packs, and people can like purchase the sample packs using credits. But it also has a feature where it can sync with your DAW, whatever your digital audio workstation. Is that what it stands for? How do you know?
Yeah.
Digital audio workstation, where your DAW. So we use Ableton and Logic, and so basically, like the collaborator, the Brazilian guy Scorsi, also uses Ableton. So when I do something in my Ableton session, I can sync it with Splice, and so he can use the exact same session to go collaborate inside it. So it's like we're in the same room basically. So it's like a really easy way to just share sessions, like music production sessions.
That makes it so easy. So then now take it to the next level. When you're on stage performing, how do you two decide, hey, I'm gonna play this song, you play this song? Because obviously, most times you guys are on stage together, of course. So how do you go back and forth in the DJing part, and he plays a song, you get the next song loaded, things like that?
Yeah, there's just communication up there. I mean, there's like certain songs we know if we want to play, mostly like a lot of our own songs, like songs off the album, trying to figure out where we're going to place those songs in the set as we're playing live and kind of setting them up and kind of creating that flow together.
Yeah, we each have our own like music list. So I kind of have an idea of what, I mean, at this point, we both know what kind of music we each have.
Yes.
So usually we go back and forth unless I'm like, oh, Michael, you need to play those songs, that I don't have. I don't bother to download because I know he has it.
Do you ever just drop a song that everyone's not expecting and he's like, oh shit, that was cool?
Yeah, all the time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it when he puts like a new track. I'm like, oh, that was gnarly.
Yeah.
So
it's fun when you play a new track. If that reaction is really good in the crowd, you're like, oh man, I gotta like star that one for future sets and like remember that track.
yeah, except we don't do that. And a lot of times I'm always like, what was the song you played before the other song 2 weeks ago in San Diego? And he's like, oh yeah, I killed it. I don't remember.
So what's it like being on stage when you have, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 fans all singing, dancing, cheering your name, and you're just up there and looking down, like now taking into like, what does that feel like? And then, as you said, Louis, like all the long hours that you guys put in initially to not being last on the list or no one knows who you are to now like you're the headliner. What does that gratification feel like?
Man, it's awesome. Like, I feel like, especially like a big festival set, they always go by so quickly. Like the Coachella set, for example, we were actually in Brazil right before that. So we were rehearsing because we did a semi-live hybrid set at Coachella. So we had to rehearse the instrumentation of it. And so we put a lot of time into that. And then the actual set's in only an hour. So it's like all of this leading to that moment. And it just goes by so quickly. But you have those memories for the rest of your life. And I actually use that show and performance for like NLP exercises and like visualization exercises. If I want to get my mind in a good positive state, a lot of times I'll just go back and relive that moment in my head at Coachella, and just experience all the senses. And it gets me like in a good mood to like,
it gives me
conquer
goosebumps
the
hearing
world.
you talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing when I do it. Like I get goosebumps, and it's just, yeah, just even thinking about the heat, like all these things start triggering certain aspects in your mind, and it puts you in a very powerful state. So
I feel that. Yourself, Michael?
What was the question again?
Being on stage and
being on
performing,
stage.
what's that feeling like? Just having the audience in your hand, loving everything you guys are doing, and just looking out and performing for people.
Yeah, I think Louis pretty much nailed it. It's just this feeling of euphoria being up there.
But a lot of times is you can't enjoy the moment because you're so worried about the task at hand. So I'd say most of the time it's like that. I try to be like, all right, I really just need to just be in the moment, enjoy this, because these are memories for a lifetime. Who knows? This could be our last show. And I try to tell myself that, but most of the time it's more like just focusing on the preparation and the performance and everything like that. And so admittedly, a lot of times I feel like I can't enjoy it properly.
Sometimes we will be playing a show, and Lewis will just be like, "Gotta enjoy this. Like remember to enjoy this moment. Like tell me, like, enjoy the moment." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Like gotta enjoy this."
Yeah, all right, this is fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever feel like you like black out on stage? Like you said, like and it's like you're just you're in the moment. The next thing you know, like your set's over.
Yeah. It's what did they call it? It's like it's the flow state, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they talk about a lot in psychology. It's like getting in the zone, or like for jazz musicians, like being in the pocket, or like surfers get it. Like everyone, like every difficult task has what they call like a flow state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you become so entrenched into the moment where you don't have to think about it anymore, because all the preparation has led you to this moment and you can just react. So a lot of times that's what happens.
Do you guys have any funny stories of being on stage? Something happened where you're like, oh shit, that was not supposed to happen. Well, whatever. We'll just keep going on. And like it just turned out to be really good.
Yeah, we were at a festival. I forgot where it was at, but like it was so hot out. I remember maybe it was like in Arizona or something, and everything just crashed. Like all the equipment just overheated and crashed. But to that like moment though, I remember getting on the mic. We got on the mic and like everything's rebooting and stuff. And then once the music came back up, like the whole crowd just cheers with you, and it was like just this moment of like it's amazing feeling.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot, actually. There's another time that happened in Costa Rica at Envision Festival. It was our very last song. We were playing Dream, and my computer crashes. And for some reason, I was just in such a good mood at that time, because it was such an incredible place. The set went so well. And even though it crashed, normally I'd be like panicking, worried, and pissed off. I just got on the mic and I don't know. I just told everyone how grateful I was for everyone. And it's like moments like these and how you react to adversity is what kind of determines your path in life. And I don't know, everyone really ate it up and loved it. And so I just felt like it made the moment even better and more special.
And the fact that you said that, the audience probably like, because again, like things happen and we get it. And so they'll probably appreciate you being like real, be like, yo guys, like, I'm sorry, shit happens. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if my computer crashed or if I just accidentally closed it.
You're like, sorry, I'm done. Have you guys ever had something where, like obviously, your computer hard drive, anybody ever happen where someone like took it or anything and you're like, uh-oh, like how am I going to perform on stage? I lost like my most vital thing I need.
Yeah, it actually happened before Coachella. My computer crashed. We were running a.
You have that auto update 30 minutes while you're about to go on stage.
Because we run we go off and back and forth between running like a live show, a live hybrid show, and a DJ set.
And your live
there's
shows
a lot
are
of
sick.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems and issues or things that could go wrong with a live show. DJing is nice because there's a lot less that can go wrong. So that's just why we go. Like a lot of times we like after doing a live tour, we're like, oh my God, I just want to DJ and not have to worry about all this. But yeah, before like the biggest show of our lives, my computer crashed. Not like the day of, but leading up to it, where I was scrambling around to like get a new one.
That must have been such like a heart attack and stress. Like you
It
said
is,
before
because
Coachella, right?
It took a long time because we were running it through Ableton. It took a long time to build that session up for the live show, and if I had to restart that whole process again, and just worrying that, well, what if this happens at the show?
Yeah. So once the show went and everything went well, what was that feeling of gratification that everything worked out well? I just dealt with all this adversity and we just had the best show of our life.
Just relief. A lot of times just like exhaustion and relief. A lot of times like just go backstage and just like collapse on the couch a lot of times.
I remember after that show, we went to go take like a photo with a bunch of like, we had a bunch of singers with us and our managers. We took this big photo with the crowd. And I remember like, as we were taking that photo, there was just like the sense of relief that this is over and it went amazing and everyone is cheering behind you. And it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, for something like that, there's just a lot to coordinate because we had 4 or 5 singers, and then of course our 3-piece live show and computers like crashing. Like we're each running our own computers.
Yeah. Probably overly complicated.
It was too complicated.
Yeah.
Like, we really just need to be DJing. That's less stress for sure.
But so after your show, are you guys able to like go enjoy Coachella the rest of the time, just hang out, like be an average fan and just enjoy other artists that you guys always probably see around, but maybe you don't get a chance to go talk to or see?
Yeah, I remember like after that set, like having that relief, we ended up doing a surprise set also for the DoLaB guys, and that was a DJ set. And going to that play was just like rocking the party, DJing, and there was like no stress. And you know, that was just so much fun hanging out with people, all our friends on stage, like partying with us. Had some friends come do back-to-backs with us up there. It's just like this really amazing time.
Well, I was kind of stressed because I think it was only maybe an hour or two before we got a call from our agent saying, hey, I think Rufus was supposed to be the headliner for that. And they weren't able to do it. So it's like, hey, can you guys do it? You guys want to do it? We're like, fuck yeah, we want to do it. And you know, I mean, when Michael says after party, it's not like a small thing. It's like the DoLaB stage. It's
like 5,000-10,000
headliner
people.
Slot at one of the coolest stages at the whole festival. And so I remember being in the van, like, I don't know, I was in a van for some reason, just like going through tracks, like frantically going through tracks before that set. And then we went there and got wasted and had a lot of fun. At that point, I didn't worry about it.
But again, so then what is that feeling and dream of, you know, coming up and now you're at Coachella and you played 2 shows there? For someone like me, like watching you guys out there, it was so amazing and so much fun. So to take it to round third base, like again, as we kind of get to the end of this podcast, what are the audience should take away from this? Like, hey, we made this happen. You can do it too. What advice would you give people?
I would say it's not all smooth sailing. I'd say most of it is just like troubleshooting disasters that happen along the way. And I don't know, it's finding people that you can work with through adversity, because we've had a lot of it. I think all artists, anyone in any kind of business or anything like that has that. So I think it's more, what we found more valuable is make sure you learn from your mistakes, because I feel like your failures and your mistakes are the most important things, much more important than your successes, because you don't really learn too much from your successes. It's when shit goes wrong, and if you just ignore, you know, what happens when shit goes wrong, then you're not growing and you're not fixing what needs to be fixed. So I think early on, you know, we had this concept of, well, you know, we like to model. Originally, we modeled after kind of Andy Warhol and that whole movement with the factory, but we like to call our factory the failure factory. And so we would actually seek out and embrace failures instead of getting all hung up on it. Just be like, oh, sweet, that went disastrously. Now how do we make this better? How do we fix it? You know, so I think it's just maintaining a good positive attitude, make sure that you learn from your mistakes.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That's exactly what we talk about here on Leap of Fate all the time. How about yourself, Michael?
Yeah, just learning from mistakes and just surrounding yourself with people that are gonna help you through those mistakes, and creating this team, you know, even besides just the 2 of us, just everyone else that's a part of Autograf that contributes to it in some way, having a connection with them in a way that's going to help build.
Let me ask you guys this question too, like especially for you, Louis. Like you said, you were doing like a stock finance type of job. When you told people like, hey, I'm gonna probably change and really try DJing and quit my job, what was the reaction from like your family, your friends? Were they supportive, or was it something where they were a little skeptical and you had to prove it to them that you were making the best decision for yourself?
I mean, I have like kind of typical Asian parents, so they were they were not happy about it. They thought I had a really good job and they were proud of me and all these things, and I was going to go into music. And so it took a long time for them to accept that. It took maybe them going to at least a handful of big shows to be like, okay, you know, people like what he's doing. That's cool. So, but yeah, I think there's a lot of initial skepticism. So
Yeah, did you have to do anything on your side, Michael, to prove people wrong?
You know, it was an interesting journey because I think I started initially throwing parties and DJing as a way to make supplemental income for this gallery space that I was trying to run. So it's just like this way to help fund that, and things just kind of kept growing, and it was this kind of natural progression into what Autograf has become. My mom was always like really supportive, I guess, of everything. Yeah.
Were your parents at the Coachella set in the background, just like, oh my God, we're so proud of our sons?
They weren't at Coachella. My mom and sisters came to our Lollapalooza set in Chicago, and
Ooh.
my mom was crying afterwards because that was like I think the
no
first time
way.
saw us play like a big festival of like, in front of like 10, 15, 20. I don't know how many people were there for that set. It's huge though, but like,
Wow,
that was big.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think my parents have ever seen us perform a festival. That would be too much for them to handle.
But like for you, Michael, that's gotta be so cool though, because obviously Lollapalooza is a big festival in Chicago. Going from underground, your gallery, to now being on stage and being a part of the headliner crew, like that has got to be so gratifying to see that become a reality.
Yeah, definitely. And just to think of like, I always just look back at like, we've been at this for a lot of like going on, started DJing like 10 years ago or whatever. And like, just looking back at how this journey has been to get us to where we are now is just an incredible experience.
And then what is the dream moving forward? What's the next 6 month, 12-month, 5-year plan? How do you guys see yourself evolutionizing as you continue forward?
It's still just about this journey and, finding things that I think we enjoy. Because as you enjoy things, you're going to put a lot more effort and passion into them. So as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be more successful at it than like being like, oh, I want to be a DJ for the fame and money, but then not really love the act of DJing and producing. Like you have to love what you're going to do to be able to put in, it's more than 40 hours a week of work. So you better love what you're doing. You're going to be doing it a lot.
I agree. Anything to add, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just a hobby that turned into something more. So I was going to be doing it anyways for free. So I never had any kind of intention or goals about making a career out of this. It was always just like for the love and the passion of music. And so when we started to have success, like I feel like we actually never make goals. I think we're just always just doing what we want to be doing, and it just kind of just leads to us to where we end up. So
That's awesome. And I can already tell, like when I met Lewis, he's so grounded. Obviously, Michael, you are too. So like seeing people who have reached, fame, and they're able to be that headliner, to see that you guys are still grounded, you still understand your roots, you give back to the community, give back to the people, and you're in it for the right reasons. It only makes us appreciate you that much more, because I can feel the genuineness that comes off of you, and you truly do it for the love of the music and the love of the fans and the love of you guys like being together to make it happen.
I mean, it is like that's who we are, but it is people do get caught up in it all, especially when you're touring around so much. You have so many people interacting with you. A lot of times you find yourself, a lot of times I'm like, man, I'm an asshole. Like just because, so when I look at someone like Justin Bieber or just like the really, really famous pop artists, and people complain about, I don't know, them not, I guess just them just kind of just being assholes. It's just that it's hard, like when you're on that level of fame that, we're not, just like even at our level, when you just have so many people that are coming at you and so many people that you're dealing with, it's hard to give everyone the time and attention that they deserve. And I try to do that, but a lot of times it gets hard. And it's a lot easier now, with the pandemic and things. But when you're just like in full on tour mode and album mode and all these modes, it's hard to stay grounded, like you're saying.
Do people recognize y'all? Say like you're not touring, you're just like downtown LA, like hanging out at a restaurant. Do people recognize who you guys are? Or is it more only the touring mode that people recognize you?
I would say occasionally I get recognized. I can't imagine being, on TV or something like that where those people always get recognized. I feel like being a DJ is kind of nice because you have a sort of anonymity to it all that like the fame isn't as bad for a DJ as anyone on TV or movies or pop stars. So I mean, yeah, occasionally I get recognized, but it's nothing crazy.
What
I think
about
it's
yourself,
cool
Michael?
sometimes like meeting people and they don't know like who you are necessarily, and then like bring up like Autograf and what we do there, and they're like, oh, I love like Autograf, but like yeah, there is like not necessarily this direct connect with like the face of who we are, but more so a connection with the music and whatnot.
Yeah, that's actually nicer. I feel like with our brand, it's not very focused on us, the people, the individuals. Like people that know Autograf, they know the music.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't really know who Autograf is, what we look like. But if you tell them like, oh yeah, I'm in this group, it's Autograf, they're like, oh my God, I listen to your music, I love it. But yeah, it's not like someone like Diplo, his brand is him. Or Steve Aoki or something like that. But for us, it's always been nice that it's been more about the music.
And I think if I were to be in that state, I would do what you guys do, because then you can kind of like live your life and not have people coming up to you, and you get the best of both worlds, where someone like Diplo, like I'm sure he can't walk anywhere down the street without like people coming up to him, which can be good and could be bad at times.
It all depends on your personality. Some people love it and eat it up. For us, I guess we've never been too crazy about that. Yeah.
You gonna say something, Michael?
I would say it's actually funny though. I think even with like within these huge like more EDM based stars, I don't know if they're they're recognized on the street, I guess, as much as like you think. Because I remember there's like a video of Dylan Francis and he's like downtown LA trying to talk to people, and no one knows who he is at all. And he's like a huge artist.
Yeah.
And, like his face is pretty like out there as his brand, and like he's just talking to people on the street, and then he's like, it's like, are you coming to the show? Are you coming to this show? Will you come to my show? I'll give you tickets. And people are just like, like get away from me. And it's just like this really funny video. So I think there's like this bubble of people within like the EDM community that are like really loving the music, and it's like this really strong community. But I don't know if outside of that community, like if you are like a Justin Bieber where you really can't walk down the street.
Yeah, even like biggest pop star in the world, Calvin Harris, I feel like wouldn't get as recognized as B-list, actor on Netflix.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And like someone like Deadmau5, obviously he doesn't wear his mask as much anymore, but like he could do his whole life because no one ever saw his face, and he could be wherever he wanted to be. So maybe you guys start wearing masks.
Had it right.
Oh, the mask idea is great because your brand lives on infinitely. So that would have been cool.
It would have been cool. So last question for you guys. I'll let you go. I appreciate you giving me your time today. We'll start with Louis and we'll go to Michael. Just if there's a key takeaway from this podcast you want people to know about your message, your guys' coming through the ranks, what would that be? And how can they relate that to their life to make their dreams, their ambitions a reality?
I guess it probably goes back to like why we started the group, like the concept behind the group and the name of Autograf and the concept of our latest album, The Ace of You, is basically, in the most literal sense, how do you leave your mark in the world? You leave it by leaving your autograph. And so, essentially we have only one life to live. And so we might as well make that life as beautiful as we can. If we treat it like a piece of art, like the art and masterpiece that it should be, how are we cultivating it? So we just want to encourage everyone to leave their mark, to leave their autograph in the world in the best way that they see fit. So I think that's just basically it. Just everyone's creating their own artwork, creating their own movie of life, just make it damn beautiful.
Make it an NFT.
and sell it, make a lot of money.
How about yourself, Michael?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the Autograf mantra right there. But just find things that you're going to be really passionate about and you're going to want to do for a long time, because once you start going, if you don't enjoy it, like what's the point? Essentially.
I agree. I think what you guys have taught us today is exactly what you just said. The second that is like, you both didn't start in the music, you didn't grow up with it, but you found your passion and you found what you really love, and you took that leap of faith on yourselves and your partnership to make that happen. You started nobody and you worked your way through the ranks, one show to the second show to a third show, and you're now living your dream. And I'm sure when you guys started in your wildest dreams, you never thought, I go to Bali, I go to Southeast Asia, I go to Brazil, I get to go to perform at Coachella. So you are put the work in and you're seeing the results. So the audience should take away is, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be hard, but when you put in the long hours, when you make the sacrifices, when you have that passion, it's going to take you some time to make it happen. But when you get to that point, the payoff is so worth it, because you know where you started and now you're here and you get to just reap the benefits of that reward.
One last thing, I would just like to say that I feel my whole life has just been one big fake it till you make it. And I really do feel like it works. I never felt like I'd be a DJ, a producer, traveling around the world or anything like this. And I just faked it until I was doing it. So I guess just everyone go do that.
Yeah, I'll become an NFL player. I'll fake it out there.
Yeah. Okay, maybe there's certain limitations.
Yeah.
You do need some sort of, I guess a certain level of talent is needed, but not always.
Understood. Any last words, Michael?
I think
good.
Got it. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Michael and Louis, for coming on. This is the Leap of Faith podcast. To my fans out there, again, thank you so much for listening every week. Louis and Michael, if people want to find you guys, we'll have everything in the bio, Spotify, Apple. Please like, subscribe in the YouTube. But people want to look you guys up. How can we do it?
I would say just mostly look up our music on Spotify or wherever you listen to music. It's Autograf with an F at the end instead of a PH.
Perfect. So thank you so much, guys, for coming on. Their music is awesome. Please go listen to it if you haven't heard it. We'll go ahead and do our sign-off. So I would like you guys to repeat after me. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay wealthy.
Stay wealthy.
Stay wealthy.
And have a good week, fans.
Have a good
week, fans.
Deuces. Autograf out. Bye, everybody.